If you're involved with someone who's depressed, you've probably seen quite a few articles and videos that tell you how to be supportive of your partner. And yes, these are a great idea, as the person who is depressed is plain and simple in hell. However, you have to think about yourself too. Having a partner who's depressed can be frustrating and lonely. The person you normally look to for emotional support is, to a great extent, not really there anymore. I've been in two relationships with a partner who's depressed. In one case, the guy denied that he was depressed at all. The other man admitted that he was depressed but refused to get help. I ended up walking away from both relationships. It was apparent that nothing was going to change, and I had to move on for my own emotional and mental health. If you are in a better position than that, with someone who seems like they're open to treatment, you may decide to give the situation some time. In the meantime, however, you have to protect your own mental health. I'm going to give you some suggestions to help keep your partner's depression from becoming your own. Hi, I'm Deborah Gray, creator of Wing of Madness Depression Guide. As always, if this video is helpful, please consider giving it a like, and also consider subscribing if you're interested in seeing more videos about living with depression. My number one suggestion is don't take your partner's behavior personally, and don't take it to heart. If your partner is rejecting you emotionally or sexually or withdrawing, it's not due to something you've done or not done. Being depressed is almost like being possessed. The depression is the thing that's in the driver's seat. And when you're depressed, sad, and angry, you tend to lash out at those people who love you. On the other hand, if your partner is saying or doing hurtful things, you have a right to insist that this behavior stop. You don't need to be a punching bag. Number two, educate yourself about depression, its causes, the different types, the symptoms, and of course the possible treatments. If this is the first time that either of you have had to deal with depression up close, this is really important. And of course, it's up to you as a person who still has got it all together to do the research. Three is be realistic about how much you can help your partner. You cannot cure depression. You can't buy something, say something, or do something that will make the depression go away. You can be supportive and understanding, which will be greatly appreciated by the person who's depressed. But other than getting your partner to a doctor, there's nothing you can do to make this go away. Number four is ask for help from family and friends. If your partner was physically ill, you probably wouldn't hesitate to ask. And people probably would offer before you even have to ask. But when your partner's depressed, it may not occur to others, unless they've been in your shoes, that the situation is similar to a physical illness, that you are likely taking on a greater share of the chores and the child care. Number five, along those lines, you're your partner's caregiver, especially if he or she is profoundly depressed. Remember that caregivers need time off. You need to get away from the situation occasionally and do something just for yourself. Also, look into resources, both online and in the real world, for caregivers, as these can be really helpful. You'll learn a lot of good hints and tips on how to deal with a situation. 6 is keep in mind that depression is contagious. That may sound silly, but it's very common for family members of someone with depression to develop it themselves. Keep an eye out for any signs of depression in you or other family members, and get to a doctor if it becomes apparent that treatment is called for. 7 is find a therapist for you. Chances are that your partner should definitely be in therapy, and you might want to go to couples counseling jointly. But you need someone objective who is also on your side. The therapist can help you develop coping strategies and also help you determine the answer to the question in the next tip. And that is, what is your line in the sand? Are you staying with your partner no matter what? What if your partner refuses to get help ultimately? Bear in mind that this decision is for you alone. Using it as a threat or ultimatum with a depressed person, as in, if you don't get treatment, I'm leaving, is not necessarily going to help the situation at all, unless you really mean it. 9 is take care of yourself physically. You need to eat well and exercise to get rid of stress. Remember that you may have a constant low level of stress without being aware of it. Not only is the situation itself stressful, but chances are that you don't want to unload your frustrations about work or school or anything else on your partner. Either you don't want to stress them out, or you found that they just can't cope with your problems. And finally, read one of the books I've listed below in the description. They contain practical strategies for maintaining your relationship and your sanity when you're involved with someone who's depressed. Thanks for watching. And if this video has been helpful, please consider leaving also a comment if you have any advice for people who have partners who are depressed. See you next time.